Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about understanding buyer's behavior. So first of all, we need to understand that what is buyer's behavior or consumer's behavior. The behavior what has been shown by the customers towards buying a good or a services is known as buyer's behavior. We understand that the buyer's behavior is a psychological aspect and it becomes very difficult for the marketer to understand and analyze what is the buyer's behavior is all about. Buyers are the backbone for success of any business organization, and without buyers or the customers, no organizational success can be achieved. So it is very important for the marketer to understand what does the customer needs or what does the buyer need. And based on the requirement of the buyers, the manufacturer or the marketer has to provide the products and services to the buyer. Now, what are the efforts, what has been made by the marketer to understand the buyer's behavior and find out the answers of the questions? Now, what are those questions? Those questions are who and how many persons participates in the decision of the buyers for buying a goods and services? Does the buyer is the only one who takes the decision, what is the product to be bought and what are the services to be taken? Or there are other people who are influencing him or who are also participating in taking the decision of buying a particular goods or services. What is to be bought? That also has to be decided by the buyer or the customer. And what is the reason for the buying? The reason for the buying is for the self consumption, or maybe for gifting someone, or maybe for his family. What is the reason for buying a particular goods and services? That also has to be decided by the buyer. And what is the occasion of the buying? So that also is one of the important aspect when we count the buyer's behavior, like whether he's he buying a particular item for a particular occasion. Like say for example, if you're ordering a cake for a specific occasion, like for a birthday or an anniversary or for some any kind of a celebration, so there is an important occasion for which you're buying that cake and you want that particular cake to be customized or that particular cake to be in a specific manner. But maybe if you're buying a cake just for consuming purpose, for just for a sake of a consuming, then your occasion is a very nominal or a very minimal occasion. You may not have to focus so much. Then what is the buying channel? How is the customer planning to buy that particular product? Will he be buying it online or will he be buying offline? What is the buying channel? That also has to be taken into consideration. And how frequently the customer buys that particular product? Does the customer buy that particular product often, or that particular product is being bought by the customer once in a year or very rarely? So that also speaks about the buyer's behavior. Now we have a definition by two popular authors over here. According to Philip Kotler, buying behavior is a decision process, an act of consumers involving in buying and using the products. And according to Frederick Webster, buyer's behavior is all psychological, social, physical behavior of potential customers as they become aware to evaluate, purchase, consume, and tell other people about the product and services. So we can see in both the definitions, both the authors are focusing on it is an act of the customer. So it completely depends upon our customers that what are they going to buy. So you cannot influence the customer to buy a particular product. It could be a psychological decision, social, or it could be a physical behavior of a potential customers where they will be evaluating, purchasing, and consuming the product. And also through the word of mouth, they will be informing the other people about the product and services. I hope you have understood the meaning of buying behavior. Let's move on further. So, in conclusion, when we talk about buyer's behavior, is relating to getting and consumption of the goods and services. So, a business organization should make a marketing mix only after studying and analyzing the buying behavior carefully. Buyer behavior is a psychological aspect, and its study and analysis is a very complex task because the needs and wants of the customers would be ever changing. It won't be constant. So it is very difficult for the marketer to basically understand what do the customer needs. And there should be a proper strategy should be formed by studying and analyzing it very carefully that what do the customer need so that the marketer would be able to satisfy the needs and wants of the customers on time. Now, there are few factors which will be influencing the buyer's behavior. Okay. Now, what are those factors which will be influencing the buyer's behavior? First one, we have psychological factors which will be impacting the customers for taking any kind of a decision for picking up any products and services. Second is a social factor. Third one is his cultural factors. Then a personal factors and the economic factors. So these are the major five factors which will have a deep influence on the customers for buying any product or services from the marketers. Now, when we talk about consumer behavior, it speaks about the selection and purchase and the consumption of goods and services for the satisfaction of their wants or the customers' wants. Here we can see a stimulus response model. So where we can see we have a market stimuli where we have all the 4 Ps from the marketing mix. We have product, price, promotion, and place. Then we have other stimuli, maybe the economic, political, and social and technological aspects might be impacting the buyer's decision-making process. And what do the buyer's responses? Buyer's responses would be product choice, brand choice, dealer's choice, purchasing timing when he would like to buy a particular product, and purchase amount, that means how much amount will he be paying for that particular product and how frequently does he going to buy that product. Certain things that you don't buy every day, like say if you pick up a car or if you pick up a in two-wheeler, or you pick up a say a very a light class maybe a watch, so you may not be buying all these kind of products on day-to-day basis. Definitely you spend a considerable amount of time and then only you take a decision of buying a particular product. So marketing and other stimuli enters the customer's black box and produce the certain responses. So here we must try to work out what goes in the minds of the customer, which is a black box. So we are calling the customer's mind over here as a black box, and what exactly the customer thinks that how should a particular product be and what should be he buying, that will be taken decision by the mind of the customer. So the bias characteristics here influence that he or she perceives the stimuli, and decision-making process determines what buying behavior is undertaken. Now, we will also be looking into the major five bias consumers decision process. Now, there is a proper format or there is a proper process through which a buyer takes a decision or a consumer takes a decision that how should he buy a particular product. First and foremost is the need recognition or a problem recognition. Then second step is about the information search. Third one is evaluation of alternatives. Fourth one is purchase decision. And fifth one is a post-purchase evaluation. Now let us see one by one all the stages of the buyer's decision process. First and foremost, the buyer needs to understand or buyer needs to know what is his requirements or need. So need recognition or the problem recognition is the first step. So this is the first step where the buyer needs to recognize what is the problem or what is his requirement needs to be fulfilled. What do he need? Say for example, if you're hungry, then you need to take a decision that what you would like to eat. The requirement is you're hungry and you need a food, but what kind of a food will you be having? If it's around 11 in the morning, so will you be having your lunch or will you be having a brunch? So will you be going ahead with the snack or would you like to have a complete meal at 11 o'clock? So first of all, they need to understand the need. Now, if the customer, based on his timing, based on the his work, he can take a decision whether he would like to go for a snack. And if he have plenty of time, then he can have his meal as well at 11 o'clock, which can be called as a brunch. So first and foremost, the particular customer needs to understand the requirement or the need that what is he looking out for. Secondly, information search. Now, it is very important for the customer to first to seek the information from where is he going to get those product. Now, I gave you an example of a food or a snack. Now, the customer needs to identify where is he going to get the food from. Whether is he going to get the food from a hotel or a restaurant, or whether he will be having the food from his cafeteria, or whether he will be stopping at one particular place and he will be picking up the product, or will he be carrying his food along with him from the home. Okay, so he has to find out the information from where can he get that particular food. Likewise, if it is any kind of a product, then he would like to get the information from his personal sources, which is families, friends, neighbors, acquaintances, maybe through an industrial resources like advertising, salespeople, dealers, and packaging. Through that, he can get the information, as well as through the public sources like a mass media, consumer rating, and through the organization also he can get the information. And through experiential sources, he can handle it, examine it, or he can take a test of that particular product, and he can use the product and see, and then he can take a decision. So he is, first of all, once he identified the needs, he needs to get the information from where exactly can he get his product, what is he looking out for. Moving on to the third one, here in the stage, the consumer uses the information, the whatever has been collected in the stage two, that information will be collected and it has been evaluated with the alternative brands or from the different alternatives. So that means here he is going to evaluate the alternatives. What does he have? Like say, I gave an example of the food. So if you're planning to have a snack, what snack would you like to have? As we said that the consumer behavior cannot be evaluated. So his mood and his choices may change time to time. Maybe earlier he wanted to have a proper food. Now he wanted to have just a sandwich. So he has alternative products available, and now he needs to evaluate from the alternative brands what is the best alternative which is suitable to him. Here the consumer also use the logical thinking. Whereas in other cases, consumers do little and no evaluating. Instead of, they buy on the inspiration or really on the intuition as well. So majority of the time, even if you want to buy a pen from a particular stationery shop, you tend to evaluate the different brands pen and which writes smooth, which writes well, and then only you take a decision of buying the product. There are very few instances where the particular customer will buy the product based on any kind of an influence or based on his own intuition that this product is good, and he'll pick up a particular product. Moving on to the fourth one, or the fourth stage, here the consumer actually takes the decision of buying a product. So he will buy the product which is most favorite to him and which has two major factors. The first one is the purchase decision, and the second one is the purchase intention. The first factor is the attitude of the others, and second is unforeseen situational factors. So the consumers pay a form of a purchase intention based on the factors such as usual income, usual price, and usual product benefits. Now, this is the fourth stage where the customer has already bought a particular product. Now, what next? Now, after consuming the product only, the customer will be able to give the post evaluation of the product, whether he was satisfied or dissatisfied with the product. So here is the stage 5 where we talk about the post-purchase behavior. In this stage, the consumer takes the further steps after purchase based on their satisfaction and dissatisfaction. So if the satisfaction and dissatisfaction completely depends upon the relationship between the consumer's expectation and product's performance. So what you have expected, if you get the same response, then you are satisfied. If the performance of the product is not as per your expectation, then you are dissatisfied with the product. So here, after having or consuming the product only, the consumer will be able to give the post-purchase behavior. And if the particular product's performance exceeds the expectation, that is known as the consumer's delight, or consumer is delighted. So these are the 5 major steps in the buyer's decision process. So I hope all of you have understood what is consumer behavior, what are the factors which will be influencing the consumer behavior, as well as what is the buyer's decision process. How does a customer or a buyer takes a decision to buy any products and services from the marketer? So thank you. When we will meet again.